If you own your own business and you're running your own meta ads, but it's not working, or you want to run your own meta ads and not be beholden to an agency, I'm going to talk about the system that I've taught myself as a business owner to test, scale, and actually get results from qualified prospects when in the past I haven't been able to get anything. One thing I've learned is that this is pretty messy, and testing and taking action and looking at what's working and what's not and sticking to that process is really what's going to show you how to get where you want to go. So at the top of the campaign, I made totally sure that I've got clear dashboards so I know how many leads that we have, how many have booked calls, how many have completed calls, and how many phone calls have we closed. So I knew I needed that data because in the past I've run campaigns and I didn't have that. And as the volume starts increasing and you don't know where all that stuff is, it becomes really hard to make good calculated decisions and get the results that you want. I went on Upwork, I found somebody that was good at HubSpot and I brought him into the team for a couple $100. This made a massive difference. The second core thing that I've learned in running this campaign is creative diversity and creative testing. I took this from Dara Denny, who has an awesome YouTube just talking about meta ads and how to do this. And basically it boils down to you've got two campaigns within your ads manager. You've got a testing campaign and you've got a scaling campaign. The testing campaign, I'm spending $50 a day. And what I'm doing is every 3 days, I put 2 new creatives in that campaign and I let Meta with the algorithm tell me which ad is going to be a better performer. And then after 3 days, I'll go in and check and I'll see, okay, wow, the CPL, the cost per lead of this one is way lower than the other one. So I'm gonna take that better performing ad and I'm gonna move it into a scaling campaign. And the scaling campaign has like $100 a day behind it. And so you know that when you're putting creative into that scaling campaign, it's already been tested in like 3 days of a smaller budget. So I'm like 8 weeks into this campaign so far. And when you look at like every 3 days testing new creatives, it's a ton of creative, but it's the thing that's actually working. In the past, I would think I had a good video and I would put it up and it would get no results. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't work. But in this campaign that I've been doing now, testing creative every 3 days, I can see that a static ad in this campaign is way outperforming the video ads, and I just move that into the scaling campaign. And so you do that just every single day, and eventually your scaling campaign will fatigue and you need new creative to come into that testing campaign. So it allows you to just keep the whole campaign fresh, and you know you're putting more money behind things that are actually working. Which brings me to my third point here of the importance of just a simple scorecard to track what's working and what's not working. So in the scaling campaign, I've got the name of the ads and when they launch, and then when I'm reviewing it, how much budget was behind it, what's the CPL, the cost per lead, and right there you pretty much have most of what you need. So if I see a $15 CPL versus a $60 CPL, well, that's telling me that, hey, this creative that generated cheaper leads is outperforming, and now I can move that one in to the scaling campaign. You put an hour block on your calendar, and then 3 days later, you put another hour block on your calendar and you just go and you look at the results. And that is just the pace that you have to go. And yeah, this takes a lot of creative that you have to make, but literally you can sit down in a day or a half a day at the top of the campaign, come up with a bunch of big ideas, and then you've got sort of a treasure trove of ideas that you can go test for your campaign. And then, 4 weeks later, you can do another batch where you make some more stuff and you base it on the learnings that you've had of the previous set of ad creative. The fourth thing that I've learned in this campaign is text messaging. iMessaging in specific is crushing email. This sounds obvious because just think of how you talk to friends. It's like you would never email friends. You just shoot them a text or something like that. But unique to this campaign is I have an iMessage. So I'm using a service called SendBlue, where it looks like you're getting an iPhone message from somebody. So it's such a 21st century like conversation, green bubble versus blue bubble. But when you get that blue bubble text message from somebody else that has an iPhone, it just feels much more like a person. And in the context of connecting with a lead and then warming them up and having a conversation and then eventually booking a call, that first touch point of like, oh, this person has an iPhone, they must be manually texting me, is like crucially important. And I've seen it in the results of this campaign to all the downstream impact of like connecting with that lead and actually making something happen. The next key unlock that I've learned from this campaign is using AI and GPT to help me with the meta backend stuff that I didn't know how to do. So how do you correctly set up a testing campaign and a scaling campaign? How do I make a scorecard to evaluate what creative is working and what creative isn't? How do I create a testing scorecard for my creative versus a scaling scorecard for the creative that's already been proven? And how do I know when to flip that off and when I need new ones? All these questions, I used to have to hire a freelancer or find somebody and pay them and batch my questions in meetings. But now with GPT or whatever AI service you're using, you can ask it those questions and you just get it all back really fast. And the core piece of this is it allows you to go from idea to execution like way faster. It just decompresses that time. So instead of like having to, research a bunch of stuff, you just talk to your colleague and now you're able to just start taking action and get those things set up. So it allows you to beat perfectionism. It allows just to get off some of the excuses that might hold you back from like, yeah, it's a lot to be on your own and running the business and then running a campaign and then running your family, right? But now you have the tools where if you don't know something to do, you now have the answer to do it and you can just take one more step forward. And the last thing I've gotten from running these campaigns is this whole process of setting up the marketing systems, setting up the sales systems, seeing how it's working, evaluating where it's not working and then fixing it, and then diving into the creative and finding what message is working with the market and how to fine tune it and how to scale it. Like it's this whole really cool creative process. It's like fun, engaging, intellectual work. But then it also, if you own the business, it goes straight to your bottom line. And now you're acquiring the skill set, the knowledge, and you're building an asset of like how to go to a new market and land and expand. So when we open new gyms and new locations, I now have a much better blueprint by this whole process, doing it on my own. And I can know, hey, tweak this, don't tweak that. You can go to one market and the messaging might be completely different that resonates with them compared to somebody else. But just by testing and letting the market decide, you get to find those answers and it comes back to your bottom line as a business owner.